One of the points that you make in the book, and I think it's a very strong point, is that taking the money from the bottom, right? Taking the money and not paying taxes, taking the money for yourself, then doesn't have a trickle down effect because you're spending it. I saw the Post had a great cover today about the Wall Street bonuses and how are they being spent on bottles of champagne and fancy
Right.
dinners,
Right.
not on investments in small business or local companies or whatnot. So many of these people, especially from Eastern Europe, from my experience. So I used to cover billionaires for Forbes magazine with a focus on Eastern Europe. They took that money away from Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, and moved it to London. They didn't
Right.
invest in their countries or their people. And so, what then does the role, or can there be a role of the doorstep of average citizens in changing the system?
Well, first of all, I just want to underscore the crucial nature of your point because if you take the forum at face value, like it's part of the liberal democratic order, right? We're supposed, in the same way that we were told that by people like Bill Clinton and Larry Summers when they were catering to Davos men who wanted the U.S. to let China into the World Trade Organization. And let me pause and say, I'm not sure that was a terrible idea, though there could have been other conditions. And I'm not here to demonize trade, which is absolutely progressive if done properly. But, it was Davos men wanting to get into China so they could cut costs and transfer production from higher cost centers of manufacturing to the ultimate low cost center of manufacturing, while people like Bill Clinton and Larry Summers were saying, no, 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 this is about democratizing China. And people like Klaus Schwab will tell you, and attendees of the forum will say, this is about international understanding and cooperation, which tend towards democracy and transparency. This is about furthering human evolution. It's not just us, drinking champagne underwritten by banks and going to Google parties. And your point, Tatiana, is so important because it's not only not that, and anybody who's paid attention to what's happened in China in the last decade can tell you that. It's the reverse. It's that Schwab and the forum are essentially laundering the legitimacy of the people he gets to come. So, I was there in 2017 when he got Xi Jinping to come and give a keynote speech. And Xi Jinping gets rewarded for his participation because the currency of the forum itself and the willingness of strategic partners to continue handing over the hundreds of thousands of dollars is enhanced by the knowledge that the highest level members of the Chinese Communist Party, the decision makers in the world's potentially largest consumer market on earth, are there. So Klaus Schwab welcomes Xi Jinping to the stage and says some version of, your people have entrusted you with the leadership. Come again. They had an election in China that I missed somewhere. When Donald Trump shows up in 2018, right after handing out the largest tax cuts tilted toward billionaires on earth, Klaus Schwab lauds him for boosting inclusivity in the United States and specifically says, we know that your leadership is the subject of misunderstandings, and that's why it's good to hear from you directly. Narendra Modi, a Hindu supremacist, only a month after a member of his party offered to pay $1 million bounty to behead a Bollywood director who had supposedly offended Hindus with his depiction of a Hindu story. He's greeted on the stage as boosting diversity. So, this is an enabling of the participants. And I think it's very important to note in places like Eastern Europe, Russia in particular, certainly India and China, the halo of the forum is much more valuable than it is to somebody like Larry Fink or Mark Benioff, who will be okay in any event. It does extend that sense of like, hey, these guys are in the good guy club, the thing's called committed to improving the state of the world.